I'm very happy to introduce you, Laura Overall. You are at New Holland Senior Vice President of Brand Communication, if I had
correct.
it right. Perfect. Then I have Freya von Czettritz. You are a CEO at DLG. Very interesting. We met at Agritechnica 2023, so I'm happy to see you again. And we have Kim Schoukens. You are a journalist and the founder of the Woman in Agriculture magazine.
Yes,
So
correct.
very, very interesting topic I think we have to talk about today. And yes, a male moderator leading a panel of powerful women in agriculture. It's symbolic, I think. It reflects the reality. The last years, women break barriers, I think. But the system has still a lot of work to do. What would you say, Freya?
Correct. Yes. Women have always played a major role on farms, and until today they still do, but they're not quite being visible for others, and especially in leadership roles. So it's important to keep our path moving to push that. That's my opinion.
Yes, of course. And you do a great role in that team. And agriculture has been a very male-dominated branch, I would say. So the more important it is that something like a magazine about women in agriculture is there and founded by you, Kim.
Yes.
How is that happened? How was that happened?
Well, I don't have an agricultural background, so let me start with that. I come from the city. I kind of rolled into agriculture from the equestrian world and then a boyfriend who was tractor obsessed. But as we went to live on the countryside, I started helping out our neighbors who had a farm. And there I noticed things because I'm from the city and I come from a family of feminists. And I noticed that when people came on the farm, they asked for the farmer, and that was always the husband, never the wife. People would pass over my colleague, my neighbor, who I milked with, and would kind of assume that she would always be there and take care of things and bring sandwiches in the field and things like that. But otherwise, she was quite invisible. And at some point, I told her I would like to start a magazine about women in agriculture because I was already writing for a job and translating, and we were already in agricultural journalism. And she gave me a magazine, a Flemish one. She said, there's already one. And I opened it and it was recipes, taking care of the babies and taking care of the baby animals. And that's when I said, I can do better and I would like to do it internationally because one, as Freya said, women are still invisible. I want to make them more visible. But two, I would also like us to connect, to build a network of women around the world and to learn from each other.
Yes, very cool. How was it? Was there a lot of skepticism when you started it? What was your experience? I could imagine that the first steps were very rough.
Yeah, so first of all, there was the fact that I was not from the sector and that I don't look like most people look, but especially in agricultural sectors. So I got remarks like, you're not credible, you should tone down your style, you should tone down your makeup and your hair and things like that. And then I had to lean pretty heavily on my partner who was working in agriculture for 15 years, I think, at that point, and had a big network because it was really hard to build a network.
Yes.
But then one day we did an interview with Ines Radke, who is also part of the DLG. And she contacted us back and told us, I love the idea of your magazine. Can we do something together? And that's how the ball went rolling for us.
When you keep it rolling. And then, now we are here.
Yep.
And Laura, you are in a big company.
Yes.
How is it for you to have a role like you have in a big brand company, in a very heritage company like New Holland?
So I'd say a couple of things. The first one is that I'm really proud to have this role. I've always wanted to work in agriculture. I grew up in the countryside. We didn't have a farm, but I knew those at the time was Fiat tractors and Ford tractors. I wanted to work for that company. So in a way, I've realised my girlhood ambition. But I have something that I always say, if you can't see it, you can't be it. So I've had really great male mentors and allies in the company who've believed in me and given me opportunities. But that time that I was appointed, at the time it was head of corporate communications for our company, I was actually on maternity leave. So I think that was a massive investment that CNH made in me to say, hey, we're going to make you a senior vice president at the age of 37 and you're out having a baby. So that immediately, I had so many of my colleagues, both male and female, writing to me, this is amazing, this is great. And now I have my looking after the global brands, between us, our brands have over 300 years of history. And I don't see myself in a way as a woman in that role. I might see myself as the best person in that role, because I think that anyone in the company, from wherever they've come from, can be like, we can do whatever job. It's not just women who do a bit of communications or a bit of HR or a bit of legal. You can have those big jobs and you can sit at the table, but you can be a wife, you can be a mother, and you can be a career woman. And I never hide any of those things.
Yeah, perfectly. My next question was the proudest achievement, but I think as I hear you talking and see how bright you talk about, we already have clarified this point. For you, of course, the magazine. And Freya, what was your proudest achievement on your way at DLG or in agriculture in general?
Well, first of all, it gives me goosebumps to hear your story, and it feels very familiar to my story. Becoming CEO of the DLG, which is an international network organization, having 2 small kids at home, a full-time working husband as well, and of course never imagined to have such a role because I've never seen someone doing it before me. So that's actually one of the biggest achievements I made for myself, but also I made for DLG women and women in our network. And what we've immediately done was to have those topics on supporting women being very normally integrated in our agenda. So not making a big effort of it, just talking very normally about it in terms of who is the next leader for the next company in our group, or how can we support that woman? She's coming back from her maternity leave. And so making it very usual to talk about it. And we've then created a network called DLG Female Agri Fellows, which is a special group in DLG for all our members or the ones that just want to join the network. So we've invited all female person in our group to join the list of our newsletter to inform them what we're doing with Kim together with the awards. Then we have a summit for females. We have podcasts. So we just give them visibility in our network with their own stories. And then on top, we build areas where we bring them together in person so that they can hear their stories, they can learn from each other. We put the spotlights on the ones that do extra miles to inspire others. And I think it's just a great achievement that we've managed to organize it. But on the other hand, to get all the men in the group and in the network involved and make it easy for them to be part of it as well. We don't want to exclude them from the network. We want to integrate them, and we want to show how easy it is and help them to talk about the female topics as well. Sometimes it's awkward for men, I guess.
Yeah,
What
for
do you
some men,
think?
but I think they have to learn it, and I think
Yeah.
it's very important. And as you said, I think integration is the point. Doing this together is the important thing. And of course, there are a lot of things to do, but as you talked here, I'm very proud, and it's a big honor for me to have you here, the strong woman in agriculture. But I think there's still a lot to do, like the gender pay gap, for example. Kim, what would you say about this topic?
I make my own pay, so I don't really feel it, but it's a fact that I had to pave my own way and create my own job just to have the pay I want and the role I want and do the things I want, because otherwise I have a language degree. The jobs I found were secretary or receptionist or assistant or stuff like that, and never the things that really interested me. So I think it's pretty noticeable that if you want to have an equal pay and if you have ambition as a woman, especially in a male-dominated sector, but everywhere, you really have to say, okay, I'm going to take this in my own hands and I'm going to do it myself, and I will rely on male allies as I did, but I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to create the job I want. And that's something I see a lot of women in leadership roles do as well, because there's no space for them at the table, so they just knock down the table and put another one in place where they can sit. I know that from stories I hear from women in Africa that you don't get support when your husband dies. You get thrown out by the family, for example. You can't own land to farm, so it's your husband's land. So when he dies, you lose everything. You do most of the work on the land, but you don't get paid, for example. So it really depends on what part of the world you live in. But it's still, I'm pretty safe in Belgium because we're pretty progressive.
Yes.
But still we're not equal, and it's even worse in other parts of the world.
Yes, especially outside of Europe, I think, as you
Yes.
say, in Africa, for example.
I think you make an interesting point there. I'd just say a couple of things because I think there is the gender pay gap and we all know it exists. But one thing that I always say to my team, they're difficult conversations to have because culturally, often it's you don't talk about money, you don't talk about politics, and you don't talk about religion. But I've learned, CNH is very international. So you get exposure to lots of different cultures. If you're in America, they all talk about money. And the first time I went there, well, not everybody, sweeping generalization, it's a topic which discussed. So I always encourage people to have these conversations. If you feel, that others who are doing a similar job to you may be being recompensed differently, and it's not always pay. It can also be benefits. It can be flexible working. It may be a company car. It may be other benefits. Speak up, because what's the worst that can happen? You can just be told no. So it's about knowing your value. And the other thing, it goes back a little bit to what I was saying before. Often you'll see women in the traditionally lower paid roles, like you were saying, Kim, secretarial, administration, the lower levels of HR. So it's about inspiring the future generations, the women who are going to come after us, to start thinking about the study that they want to do, doing those engineering, going into AI, finance, not in payroll, but in the FP&A, into the strategic roles, because that's where you get the salary lift. And really it's about knowing your worth and asking for it.
Yeah, because why did I study languages? One, because I was good at it, but two, because I felt technical stuff, it's not for me. I can't do that. So there's a lot of work to be done to attract women in those, in those studies and in those jobs as well.
Yeah, and that's a point, and I think especially DLG did a great role with the woman. How did you say?
Award. Yeah, the award.
Yes,
Yeah.
and for me as a creator, I see many women in my branch, in my creator space, I would say. We have
but it's
many
communication.
strong women.
We're good at that.
Yes, it's very good, and we have a lot of strong women in my creator bubble as well, and I think it's great achievement from things like DLG did, and but I think there is we have challenges like lack of visibility in decision-making forums. What would you say about that?
Well, one thing I was thinking about when you, Laura, just said ask for it is ask for a mentorship.
Yes.
Look for your own mentor. Look for the one that's helping you to understand, helping you to be strong enough to stand up for yourself. So something I got naturally because I'm a communicative person. But if you're not, look out for someone that can help you, or use something like the award that you achieve to find someone in that new network. And I've decided for myself, everything I got from someone helping me to become that person I am now, I want to give it double back to someone else. So I was looking for a young woman that I found she's really, really talented, and she was not in that position yet. And we've made a great achievement. And she was overwhelmed by my motivation, which I'm not paid for, which is just totally personally motivated. This goes out to all the leaders out there. Look for young women you can support, and be very open in the way you do your mentorship. You don't need big programs. You don't need an organization for that. You can do that with your own feelings, your own experience, your own questions. And it helped this lady so much to achieve in terms of payment, in terms of a role she owns now, network, career, and so on. So that's something we want to invite everyone in this Female Agri-Fellow network as well to get in touch with others and to inspire them.
Yes.
If I may, I think you just hit on something really important. Like we have the concept of pay it forward.
Yes.
Because so often, and I have seen it in organizations and even in our own organizations, somebody gets there, you have a woman who has, really achieved well, and you think, yeah, and then the drawbridge is pulled up behind you. So I'm there. And it's like, no, I have, it sounds a bit trite, but it's like, if one star shines bright, he doesn't make the other stars shine any less bright.
No.
So it's like, how
them.
Increases them, exactly. How can you pay for it? How would you like to have, what support would you like to have received? We've been very lucky to have mentors, but not everyone has that. And I love your idea that it doesn't have to be a formal program. And it's as simple as an open door. Anyone can come in. If the door's open, anyone can come in and ask those questions.
There's a good initiative in Germany which says if you sit at the table, your part at the table is to bring 10 more other women to the table.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love
And
that.
they support leadership topics or mentorships and so on. So I always come into rooms where I'm the only woman, and it's quite usual. I'm used to it. But whenever I sit there, I'm thinking of who would be, who do we need in this room as well to get this idea pushed forward or to have the support for this idea or this strategic plan. So, yeah, also out to all the women and the men out there, bring other women to the table.
Yes, and yeah, we have a perfect conversation. So you give me the ball for my next question. You already give some advice for young women who wants to go in this sector. You did it as well with the mentor theme, I think, and so you give the ball to me, and I can give the question to you. Have you any advice for young women from your honest inner feeling? What can they do to get more visible in this sector, to get more in touch with the agriculture environment, I would say?
Well, I think Laura and Freya already said a lot. I agree with them. I completely agree. We're actually, with Women in Ag, going to start a foundation next year. Next year is the International Year of the Woman Farmer, so it's a cool year for that. And the goal will be to form networks, to go talk in different locations and to connect women from the field, but also from higher up, and to get them in touch with each other and learn from each other, because those mentorships, those are really, really important. And I can understand that once you reach the top, you're tired, you had to fight really hard, and there's this little petty thing in you that says, I had to work this hard to get here, so now you have to do the same work. But that's not how we're going to progress. How we're going to progress is by lifting each other up, by talking with women in Africa. Actually, there's a lot moving in Africa. There's a lot of mentorship programs going on there where women who have a bit of experience take younger women with them and teach them. And I think that's the way to go forward, really, to create one worldwide network of women in agriculture and help lift each other up, talk to each other, hear what are the problems in your part of the world, how can we help, but also how do you practice agriculture, how did you get started, what could I do here to get me started. I think the first step is find your people and talk. And go from there, and don't let the you can't do it or you don't look the part stop you, because that's ridiculous.
Yes, of course. Yeah, thank you. So we had a very great conversation. Is there any other advice you have? Yeah, perfect. That's I saw you have a little look in your list, and for this I would like to ask you again.
Many women feel energized what we said, and now this goes out to the men. I'd say we need to start early through education and experience and mentorship. So, as I said before, we need to fill the pipeline of the next leaders and mentors with early stage encouragement. So, bring young girls to the technical parts of your company, encourage them to learn those jobs, and just be active with the young leaders from tomorrow.
Yeah, and I just had one quote that always inspired me. It's actually on the side of my office wall in Basildon, and it says, "You cannot build a reputation on what you are going to do." And that's something that Henry Ford said, and it's probably true today as it was 120 years ago and will be 120 years into the future. The first step is always the hardest. And if you, as a woman or as a male ally, want to do something, just go ahead and do it. And we don't live in Disneyland, and not everything's going to happen straight away, but hard work and resilience and someone who puts their head down and delivers, you will get noticed.
Perfect.
And keep showing up.
Totally underline that.
Yes,
what
and
you said.
I think it's great that you mentioned this quote from Henry Ford, because Ford tractors have a big history in New Holland company, because New Holland grew out of Fiat and Ford. And so I think this was a perfect quote to end this podcast. And it was a pleasure for me to have you here. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.
Please
Thank
keep
you.
going your really important and beautiful work.
We love having male allies, so thank you for hosting this.
Yes, thank
Keep
you.
supporting us. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
thank you.